Time now for the General Manager Show right here on A's Cast Live. David Forst joins us from Fitch Park. Our first time talking during spring training. It's been a while. How are you?
I'm doing well. Well, we met up a bunch in the off season doing press conferences, so we didn't have much to talk about until now.
This by far is the most we've talked to you in a long time in an off season. It's kind of fun. I mean, it's just different. The culture's different. Just everything about the organization is different. You've been here a long time. Just how's it been for you?
It's been a fun off season, and I know you were at Mark's press conference the other day, but that was sort of like the perfect sort of end off season, start spring training, because he is such the focal point of everything we do, and to kind of get his extension done, like get things settled before we get out on the field was kind of perfect timing.
Yeah, so we knew about it beforehand because we have to get ready for it, and we can't say anything because the players didn't know and the coaches didn't know. And so when we were sitting in the back and you two came in, and knowing that John Fisher, the owner, had stepped in front of the group, it's just like the culture change. You could just feel it with the players and you two up front. Just what has this feeling been like, just watching the change and knowing that's also coming from ownership?
Yeah, I mean, that day was a lot different than any day we've had around here in a while because, like you said, John spoke to the players. He's the one who announced Mark's extension to that group, got a big round of applause in our meeting. And then for Mark to walk into that room not knowing that all the players and staff were going to be there, I think he was genuinely touched by that. He was surprised. And it was like a real feeling of like, oh, wow, we're really sort of starting something now that, began with signing Sevy, trading for Springs, and then Rook's extension kind of kicked that all off too.
And it's being reported, I know you can't talk about it, but a potential deal with Lawrence Butler. I know you can't talk about it, but just you are open to re-signing some of your players, the younger players, these type deals where you take up their arbitration years.
Yeah, I mean, this is something we had done here before in sort of previous iterations of the roster, and we're now in a position where we do have a long-term vision and plan being in Vegas in 2028, and more importantly, we have a young core of players that we really want to keep here. So we are having conversations with a few different guys. It's a two-way street. We don't know if anything's going to get done, but just the fact that those conversations are happening is a really good sign for the health of the organization.
And then you have the next really group of young players that are coming. And earlier this morning, I know I've told you this, I'm really high on Henry Bolte. I think this kid's going to be really special. And you look at him now, I mean, last time I saw him, he was like 200 pounds. He's now like 225. He looks like a linebacker. There's a whole next group coming up that we're going to get to see here now. Then we won't see them. They'll go off for minor league camp. How excited are you for the younger A's right now?
Really, really excited. And your South Bay prejudice is coming through.
That's a fact. It's a fact.
With your Henry, but
Palo Alto High.
He looks great right now. He's been in a group with Kurtz, Muncy, and Colby Thomas, and just watching that group hit is so much fun right now. And there is, again, a lot of excitement for the next wave. A couple of the pitchers as well, Jack Perkins and Mason Barnett. Like, there's depth, there's talent. It's exciting.
We also had Kurtz on, and he looks like he could dunk all over us and that he could be a power forward.
I assume you had to do that one sitting down.
No, we did. It's like this. It's like, God, it makes me look horrible. Is it he is so, we know Wake Forest, highly developed with all the data and technology they have. We know he immediately shows up, he shows you how good he is. I mean, could it be a possibility he's in Sacramento this year?
Look, anything is possible. I wouldn't put any restrictions on Nick. I think the fact that Jacob got to Oakland a year after he was drafted, I think we'll promote you if you play. If you perform and you're ready to go, I mean, there are worse problems than having too many good players at the same time.
All right, the keys to this spring training, what are the keys for you? Obviously health, but what are the big keys you want to see?
I don't go much beyond health. I mean, we had our opening meeting here a week ago with the staff, and every time we talked about a guy, hey, let's keep him healthy till we get to opening day. There are obviously a number of roster spots that are already decided, and those guys you just want to get the right amount of work in, keep them healthy. But we have a few decisions to make in the bullpen, in the infields, I think. So both position players and pitchers, we have some decisions to make, so it'll be fun to watch starting Saturday.
Where are you like with first base? Because I know you want Tyler now to catch some more too. So where are we with first base?
I think, look, Tyler's going to be the primary first baseman. It's nice that the Brownie can play there, Andujar can play there, or Shella has played there, so we have some options. But Tyler's done a great job already, balancing first base and catching. So I think as we get closer to opening day, we'll know better what exactly his role is. But the way he performed last year when he's healthy, the way he swung the bat, he's got to be in there somewhere.
How key is it that now that Brent Rooker is healthy, which, I mean, he played through an arm injury and had, an MVP-like year. Now he can go into the outfield, and that kind of frees up the DH spot. I think like Shea Langeliers can do more DHing, but explain how you would like, as of right now, to utilize the DH spot this year.
Yeah, it's huge to have Rook healthy, because you and I have talked in past years about how much better our roster works when you don't have a set DH, when you can give Shea kind of a, quote, day off by just DHing, or other guys, we got to get JJ off his legs, give Law a day off in the outfield. So those are important things to keep guys healthy, and with Rook going out, hopefully, 60, 70 plus times in the outfield, we'll be able to do that.
Talked to Zach Geloff yesterday. I still believe he is going to be something really, really special. Had the oblique, played through it. When you play through some stuff, it can put you in bad habits, but still, your belief in him as an athlete, as not just a really good athlete, a kid that, to me, could be a star type player.
100%. And I will say, you watch the live BPs out here, you watch the batting practice, there's almost nobody else on our roster who can impact the baseball the way Zach can when he puts the barrel on it. He hit an opposite field homer during live BP where I wasn't sure how well he made contact, and the ball just carries off his barrel. So there's so much talent there. I know Zach wasn't happy with the way he performed last year, but there's plenty of opportunity ahead of him to kind of get back to where we know he can be.
Just going through all these interviews that we've been doing, and, we did Jeffrey Springs. Great going to have him here. He feels healthy. Severino, obviously. JP Sears has been so consistent. It's great to talk to Joey Estes and his 24 starts. He's just 23 years old. But then there's this whole stable of guys, which to me is so important for you. So we talked to JT Ginn and Hogan Harris and Brady Basso and Mitch Spence. Just talk about, you have depth.
Yeah.
Especially starting pitching depth that you probably haven't had in a long time.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and that's the group we've talked about all winter. Is you've got Severino, Springs, and Sears, and then behind them you've got all these guys with around a year, maybe less than a year of experience in the big leagues, but all who have had games where you go out and you go, hey, this guy's going to help us compete every night. So from that group, we'll find the 4 and 5 starters, but we're going to need 6, 7, 8. I mentioned earlier Barnett and Perkins. Those guys at some point are going to put their names in the mix. So it is a really sort of deep group to draw from for the rotation.
All right, 2 things. Family's very important to you. Your parents have been here. Your kids are here. The journey for you in your life and your profession, just how big is it this time of year to have the family around?
Yeah, this is the most fun. My kids always get this whole week of President's Day off. So they come out, they run around the fields. My son threw a bullpen yesterday with Mike McFerrin.
That was cool. I was watching that. I'm like, that's really cool.
It's been very cool. Yeah, my daughter is hitting in the cage. So this is a great time of year to begin with, just because there's no stress, there's no pressure on the games and the outcomes. But then when you add having the kids here, like you said, my parents drove over from LA for a few days. It's hard to beat this time of year in Mesa.
And then lastly, after that press conference, I went over to the owner, John Fisher, and we were just talking, and I was talking about how I've been really promoting here on this show about there's just a change in the culture and everything. And he really opened up about what he believes for Mark Kotsay as a leader. He said he's one of the best leaders he's ever been around. John Fisher said he'd run through a wall for Mark Kotsay. And I'm like standing there going, wow, I mean, this is the owner saying this, obviously. It's a big deal. Just talk about giving Mark that extension. I know you guys have been very close for a long time, from his being a player here, to you making him, your first time being a GM, you want him to be the manager. Just giving him this extension, what it means.
I'm sort of blown away by how Mark has grown into this role. And he was a leader as a player. Like he worked hard, guys followed him, but it's so different from being in this role. And I mentioned in the press conference that when he first started, I think he wanted to be great at it right away. We all do when we do things like that. But he at some point he realized he had things to learn, he had to adjust. And when I watched him make his sort of speech the other day in front of the team, I was struck by how much more comfortable he was in that room than he was even just a year ago, and how he commanded the room. He had a message for these guys and really believed, in the group and in that clubhouse. It was I said the other day, I'm so proud of kind of how he's grown, and he's 6 months older than I am, which I remind him of all the time. So it feels a little strange to say I'm proud of him, but I am, and I'm so happy that he was committed to staying here and that he's our guy.
Have you taken him down in pickleball yet?
Look, when Dan and I play against him and Crosby, they've got like 24 years of service on the other side of the net. It's not a fair fight. So give me one-on-one, we'll see.
Okay.
I'll do my best.
I want to say this before we end. It's 75 degrees. I'm playing golf with Ken Korak tomorrow. You've got your family here. It's absolutely perfect. This will be the last interview that we do for the rest of the year where everything is totally fine.
I totally agree.
Right?
Absolutely. Let's enjoy it.
Everybody's great. Everything's perfect. It doesn't get any better than this. I mean, this is awesome. This is awesome.
Thanks,
After
Danny.
this, the season starts. You never know. You're always fantastic. We always appreciate everything you do for us. I just want to kick the season off with that, and good luck the rest of spring.
Appreciate it.
The general manager right here on A's Cast Live.